Salutations and welcome, horse racing fans. I'm Matthew DeSantis, and this is the Win Place Show, a podcast devoted to all aspects of horse racing and handicapping that is proudly part of the Amalfi Media Network. Now, today we're going to cover an absolutely huge Saturday at Keeneland that features five graded stakes races, four of which are Breeders' Cup win-and-you're-in races. Now, before we break it all down, just a quick reminder to follow, download, rate, review, and share the Win Place Show on the podcast platform of your choice. And also remember that we'll have a preview for the Sunday races at Keeneland that will be posted on Saturday evening. And then we'll have a podcast-only episode on Monday where I recap the weekend and go over what I got right, what I got wrong, and lessons learned. Now remember, we have horse racing content for any preferred consumption platform. If you enjoy listening to me, you can listen to the podcast on the Win Place Show. If you enjoy watching the videos on YouTube, you can go over there, see me in my little cap, and the great horse racing pictures I have behind me. And so you can do that on the Win Place Show YouTube feed. And if you would prefer reading, well, we got you covered there because we have a blog that corresponds with each of these episodes where I give you my win, place, and show picks for the entire card. And the best place to get all of that is to head over to amalfimedia.com or follow me on Twitter at the handle @FailToMenace. Remember, those blogs are great for getting your stables ready for stable duel contests. They have a lot of fun ones this weekend, and I include all of the fantasy stable prices next to my picks. And while this week's previews focus on Keeneland, if you follow me on Twitter at FailToMenace, I'll be posting short preview videos for Santa Anita where I give you some stable duel advice and long shot plays. Finally, make sure to interact with us on Twitter. We always love hearing from you on social media or on YouTube to let me know what you think about the races and how you think they're going to break down this weekend. And of course, please share with your fellow horse racing enthusiasts. Okay, enough of the self-promotion, enough of the preamble. Let's get into a huge Saturday at Keeneland. And as I said, there are five graded stakes races. Three of them are grade one, two of them are grade two. I'm going to talk about the two grade two races together. And I'm not going to go over the entire fields for those two grade two races, but let's start by focusing on the first of those grade two races, the Woodford Stakes, which is 5.5 furlongs on turf. And this is a fascinating race. It's a smaller field. It's a 7-horse field. And I think there's a very clear favorite here in Golden Pal. This is a horse that is coming back to North America after running his previous race in England. But prior to that, had a 3-race winning streak featuring 2 graded stakes victories. Additionally, he's got a front-running style which should set up really nicely because there isn't a lot of other early speed. Now, I know you've heard me say that before when I talked about the Cotillion and Always Carina, and I said, hey, look at this field. There's no other early speed. Always Carina is going to be able to go out there and sit on a lead and just to hang out. I think this is a little bit different. I don't think there are other horses with the same class that Always Carina was going up against in that. I think there's some nice horses in this race, but nobody at the level of Clairiere, nobody at the level of Army Wife and some of these other horses that were in that race at the Cotillion. So I do think Golden Pal is going to be able to get out in that lead and run pretty effectively, set his own pace and do well there. Extravagant Kid going off at 5-2. I don't love that odds. I think that's a horse that might be on the downside of his career. It's an 8-year-old horse. I think we saw that with Whitmore, an older sprint horse that just kind of lost a step this year. I think this year's campaign by Extravagant Kid overseas was good, but not great. And I'm just kind of curious there. The horse that I really like, where I think you'll find some value, is County Final. This is a horse that's cutting back in distance and finished 6th at the Franklin Simpson Stakes at Kentucky Downs, I should say, but only lost by 2 lengths. And that was in a really big field of 11 horses. So I do like this. He's not broken through in graded stakes competition yet, but I feel like in this field, this is as good an opportunity. And at 5-1, I think there's decent value there. I do like County Final quite a bit. And then Fire Crow's the other horse that I'll just very quickly mention, who had a bizarre trip and a bizarre just race the last time out at the Turf Monster at Parks. That was the race, if you remember, there was a 109-1 long shot that won Hollywood Talent. So Fire Crow came out, ran a very close and competitive fourth. I think Fire Crow's a good horse, and I wouldn't be shocked if it hits the board. So the way that I see the Woodford Stakes playing out is I have Golden Pal to win. I have County Final to come in second. I have into place, and then to show, I have Fire Crow. So let's talk about the other Grade 2 race, the Thoroughbred Club of America Stakes, which is for fillies and mares, 6 furlongs on turf. And this is another one, another small field, a 6-horse field, actually. This is one where there's kind of a clear top 2 horses, in my opinion, Estilo Talanoso and Bell's the One. Bell's the One is the morning line favorite. What's interesting, though, is Bell's the One has never outfinished Estilo Talanoso in their head-to-head competitions. They've only faced each other twice, and neither of them has won the races that they've competed against each other in. But Estilo Talanoso always finishes ahead of Bell's the One. Sometimes barely, sometimes by a decent little margin. But Estilo Talanoso is also taking a cut back in distance. Traditionally, this horse runs at 7 furlongs, maybe even a mile, is cutting back to 6 furlongs, which I think is a good idea after what happened at the 4-star Dave, really kind of weakened down the stretch. I think going to 6 makes a lot of sense there. Bell's the One is much more of a 6 furlong horse, so is at a comfort zone certainly there at this distance. But I do like Estilo Talanoso quite a bit. And from a long shot standpoint, from a value standpoint, I really like Club Car. And I know that's a horse that's going off at 10-1, which is one of the longer shots in the field. But this is a horse that I just have a good feeling about and has run some pretty nice races in the past. It certainly is not necessarily at the same speed level as some of the other horses, but has a second place finish at a grade 3, another third place finish at a grade 3. So has hit the board in graded stakes competition and has done well at 6 furlongs, hit the board 9 times in 11 career starts. At Keeneland is 5 for 5 in hitting the board, is 6 for 6 on hitting the board this year. Again, this is a step up in competition, but at 10-1, I really like the value. I like Tyler Gaffalione a lot. And so I think this horse has a lot going for it. So I like Club Car to come in and kind of bust up the chalk party there at the back end of the board and kind of come in third. So I think this will be a race, I should say, that sets up well for the two favorites, Estilo Talanoso and Bell's the One. They both like to come from off the pace, and I think in the midst of Biz and Frank's Rocket are both going to give them a decent early pace to run into. And so I think that's going to work out nicely. So I have, for the Thoroughbred Club of America Stakes, I have Estilo Talanoso to win, Bell's the One to place, and Club Car to show. So now let's move on to the Grade 1 races. And the first of those is the First Lady Stakes, which is a mile on turf for 3-year-olds and up for fillies and mares. And this is a 13-horse field, just as the other two Grade 1 races are also 13-horse fields. So I'm not going to provide you all of the connections names here, but I will just quickly run through all 13 horses by post position. Starting in post position 1, you have Abscond, and then Empress Josephine, an Irish horse, Alfieka, the morning line favorite, a British horse, Star Command, Hendy Woods, Regal Glory, Daddy is a Legend, Harvey's Little Goyle, Blowout, a British horse, Princess Grace, who we're going to talk about a little bit more, Delica, a German horse, La Signari from France, and Viadera, another British horse. So it's a 13-horse field, and I'll be honest, you could make some arguments for a lot of different horses in this race. Very impressive field. I like this field quite a bit. And I think if there's one surefire bet that you're going to see in this field, it is that Blowout is going to go for the lead. Because Blowout always goes for the lead and doesn't just go for the lead. I mean, thrashes the field early. I mean, sometimes you'll see Blowout 8 lengths clear of everyone at the half mile mark. And that's even for a mile. That we're not talking about long distance races here. So Blowout really likes to get out there in the lead. And that's really her style. That's how she's going to win a race. She's got one mode, which is I'm going to blitz the field. I'm going to get out. I'm going to run as fast as I can. I'm going to put as much distance between me and the other horses. I'm going to make everybody else try to catch up. So that's her strategy. And at 8-1, I actually don't hate those odds. And I think there's a really good chance that she hits the board because you might sit there and go, well, how could she have this much success with that type of running style? But, you have to understand this is a horse that has won, several graded stakes competitions and has regularly come in a very close second at grade 1 races. So, you got Flavien Prat aboard, who you trust. I just trust a whole lot jockeying this horse. So, again, I just really like Blowout quite a bit in this race. And I think, the mile on turf is a perfect setup. Has finished in the top 2, 7 out of 8 career starts on the turf. So, at this distance. So, I do like Blowout quite a bit. The horse that will be a little bit of a question mark in terms of early speed is Delika. Delika, particularly when she has run at distance, at a mile and a half, will occasionally just seem like she's completely run loose and will at times be 10 to 15 lengths ahead of everyone else. So this is a horse that also loves to get on the lead. However, last time out of Kentucky Downs, Delika really modified her running style and ran more in a stalking position and gave a little bit of a late kick and finished a very close second at a mile, which was a really strong finish and, was an effective horse. Now, the problem there is you lose Joel Rosario, who is not riding Delika this time out. And it goes back to Miguel Mina, who's had success on Delika, it should be pointed out, but tends to have success on Delika as a front runner, has not necessarily woven through traffic very effectively the way that Joel Rosario can weave through traffic, particularly in a 13-horse race. So there's a reason Delika's 12-1. It'll be interesting to see if Miguel Mina pushes her out there with Blowout. That's going to be fascinating. Or if Blowout's just going to be out there by herself. That could have a real impact on how Blowout ends up performing. I think that Delika is going to try to be a little bit more strategic at a mile and not try to run out there on the lead. But who knows? I mean, the horse, any horse that has ever run 15 lengths clear of the field at the half mile mark, you don't know. But enough of the front runners. Let's talk about the favorites. Alfieka, who is the favorite in this race, 7-2, extremely good horse. Won the Diana last time out. Trained by Charles Appleby, one of the many Godolphin horses that has been unleashed on American turf running this year. She's comfortable at a mile. She's comfortable at a mile and an eighth. All that she's done since coming over to the United States is win 2 consecutive grade 1 competitions on different tracks against different fields. And that's kind of all you have to say, and post plus 100 buyer speed figures. There's a reason she's the morning line favorite. She's classy. She's capable. She likes to come from behind. Now, that is one of the question marks, is how far back is Alfieka going to be? Because a lot of times Alfieka is close to last place and then puts on a run and outkicks everyone. That's a dicey proposition to do with 13 horses in the race. So I don't think Alfieka is going to go that far back, and actually breaking in the third post position. I actually think that there's a good chance she'll sit closer to like 7, 8, 9, which I think is fine. I don't think she'll get shuffled back all the way. So that'll be very interesting to see how she positions herself, how Jamie Spencer positions her. So another kind of jockey. This is a horse that's, had Mike Smith aboard in the U.S., has had Manny Franco, has had William Buick overseas in the past. So this is a horse that's used to a lot of different jockeys, but always comes through no matter what, which is a real credit to Charles Appleby, who admittedly has only entered 13 horses this year in the United States, but has won 6 of those 13 races. So, hello, he's doing quite well. And I wouldn't get too churned up about any of the workout figures. I mean, the last workout figure we have for Alfieka is in July, and it was a very pedestrian 4 furlong workout. And then the next week, she dominated the Diana at Saratoga. So this is a horse that's just really good. So outside of Alfieka, the other horse that I think you have to talk about is Princess Grace, who is a really cool horse that has won 6 times in 7 career starts, and most amazingly, has won 6 times at 6 different racetracks. Has won at Colonial Downs, Monmouth, Churchill Downs, Parks, Del Mar, and Kentucky Downs, and has won at a mile and a 16th. The only time Princess Grace lost and finished second was at Keeneland in a grade 3 competition last year. Now, she was still coming in towards the end. She was making up ground, just kind of ran out of room, and ultimately got edged out by Stunning Sky. But it's still an impressive run from her. So we'll see. I mean, has had some really strong workouts. The issue with Princess Grace is all of those races have been at the grade 2 and grade 3 level. And when you're talking about a horse like Alfieka, and even a horse like Blowout, these are horses that have gone up against the grade 1 competitions again and again and again, and have seen the best in the world and certainly the best in the United States. Princess Grace last time out beat Delica, who's a 12-1, we'll be generous and say mid shot, and Abscond, who finished third in that race at Kentucky Downs last time out, who is a 30-1 long shot. So it's not as if she, had the greatest competition there at Kentucky Downs. Taking nothing away from her effort, though. Kent DeSormo, her jockey this time out, jockeyed her to her best career finish at the Yellow Ribbon Handicap, where she posted a 102 Beyer speed figure. If she posts another 102, she can absolutely end up in the winner's circle. I just don't know if she can in this particular race. And so this is a whole nother level of competition when you're talking about a horse that's never seen grade 1 races before. So we'll see. Chad Brown has 2 very interesting horses in this field. Regal Glory being the first among them. Regal Glory is a good horse, but I'll say something that I just kind of alluded to with Princess Grace, which is Regal Glory, when she steps up to grade 1 competition, doesn't quite cut it. And I know people always like to bet on Chad Brown horses on turf. I get that. It's a pretty reliable bet. But, stepped up at Just a Game, the grade 1 competition at Belmont back in June, finished 4th. Stepped up to grade 1 Just a Game the year before at Belmont, finished 4th. Stepped up to grade 1 competition at Keeneland last year to mile and an 1/8, finished 6th. So when this horse steps up to grade 1, does not usually come through the best, and has been running well, is an incredibly consistent horse in terms of those speed figures. But again, I just worry stepping up against this level of competition, and as a little bit of a late kicker, I just think there are better late kickers in this field. And so I think Alfieka, I think even Princess Grace are more effective at that game than Regal Glory is. And so I could see Regal Glory finishing very close to the board. I could see a 4th or 5th place finish, but I just don't know if I like this horse to win. I will give you a long shot that I like. Hendy Woods. This is a horse that actually narrowly lost to Regal Glory 2 races ago, but came back at a non-graded stakes race and won with ease at a little over a mile at Kentucky Downs. And this is a horse that seems to just be a miler. And sometimes I'm always baffled why people just can't let a horse be what it is. But when they run this horse at a mile and a 16th or a mile and an 1/8, it just doesn't do well. When they run this horse in a mile, 6 career races, 4 wins, 2 second places. I mean, this is a horse that has good pedigree and likes the distance, has had nice workouts, and I just think a 10-1 offers you some nice value there. The other Chad Brown horse I'll mention, because I did say there were 2 of them, was Viadera. I feel bad Viader is breaking from the far outside. I just don't love that post position. I think Viader is a very, very good horse. I don't, and additionally, it's not just the outside post position. I don't love Florent Giroux on this horse in the outside post position. Um, this horse is either going to be really kind of pushed out really wide, or is going to get stuck in traffic. And I don't think either of those is a very good. I don't think either of those instances is going to work out very well for the horse, which is too bad because I do think Viadera might be the second or third best horse in this field, but will not have the opportunity to show it, unfortunately, because of the post position. So, how do I see the First Lady Stakes playing out? Well, I have Alfieka to win. I have Hendy Woods to place. I like that long shot. And then I have Blowout, who, like I said, has one speed, which is fast, and one strategy, which is go for the lead. But I like for Blowout to show. Okay, so let's move to the ninth race, which is the Claiborne Breeders Futurity. This is another 13 horse field. And let's take a look at this field. And again, I'm just going to list off the horses rather than all the connection information in the sake of time. But starting with the number one post position, you have Double Thunder, then Mr. Booma, Stellar Tap, Seal Beach, Don't Wait Up, Rattle and Roll, American Sanctuary, King Curlin, Great Escape, Max Time, Costa Terra, Kevin's Folly, and Classic Causeway. Interestingly enough, if this was a race where Classic Causeway, who is going off at 5-1, had any other post position, I would tell you to put all your money on Classic Causeway to win. I still would say it's not a bad bet. I just hate that this horse pulled the 13th post position. This horse had a monster maiden, first race, posted a 90 buyer speed figure, which is absolutely incredible. And I think is clearly the best horse in this field. But I just don't like this post position. I think it just sets up for way too much trouble of either being pushed out wide, being caught in the shuffle. I feel bad because I think the post position is going to cost this horse a victory. And I think we're going to look back and go, this horse was much the best, but we'll see. So Classic Causeway is, like I said, a horse that I just have the utmost respect for and expect great things from, but I'm just worried about how he's going to be able to pull this off coming from the far outside. Now, on the far inside is Double Thunder. This is a horse that has progressively moved up in distance. Many of these horses have not run the mile and a 16th that this race is. Double Thunder has run up to a mile and has won at a mile. Did kind of, when gone up against a grade 2 competition at Saratoga at 6.5 furlongs, got really smacked down by High Oak, Gunnett, and Nakatomi. Those are really good horses. And I think it might just speak to the fact that Double Thunder is not a sprint horse. Has had good workouts, not spectacular workouts. I actually am a little worried about the inside post position here with Double Thunder, though I should point it out, Double Thunder has had the far inside post position twice before and won both times. However, in a 13 horse field, you do worry about just the sheer amount of horses that might end up pushing in, or if Double Thunder gets shuffled back a little bit. So we'll see how Double Thunder breaks from the post. Again, you could spend time talking about a lot of these horses. Stellar Tap is another horse Steve Asmussen trained, jockeyed by Ricardo Santana Jr. Had a little bit of a step back at the Iroquois, which is a grade 3 race at Churchill Downs last time. Was at a mile and a 16th, so at least has some experience running that distance. And while he finished 5th and he did fade down the stretch, he also didn't have the cleanest ride up to that point and was only 3 lengths off the winners. So, if you're going to look for something there might be something to hang your hat on. I don't love Stellar Tap at that price. Certainly the pedigree would indicate distance is not going to be an issue with Tappet as a sire, but we will have to wait and see. The two horses that I do have my eye on that I think are interesting is Don't Wait Up and Great Escape. And I'll talk about Don't Wait Up very quickly. This is a horse that, has stayed at 6 furlongs. So there's some questions about distance. You did see a progression from the first to the second race, has posted the second best speed figures in the entire field outside of Classic Causeway. I wanted to call him Giants Causeway, which is of course his sire. Um, and so there, like I said, don't wait up. I like that. He likes to get to the front. This is a post position 5, where he'll be able to do that. John Velasquez will give him a good ride. Anthony Dutrow is a trainer I tend to trust pretty well. Doesn't have a ton of entries, but wins at a pretty high clip. So again, a lot to like there with Don't Wait Up, who I think is a really good horse. And you're getting decent odds there. The horse that I'm particularly intrigued by is Great Escape. And Great Escape's going off at 8-1, so you're getting really nice value. I already talked about how much I like Tyler Gaffalione as a jockey. He did really well at Churchill Downs this last meet. I think won the jockey award there. Ken McPeak won the training award. Tyler, this is a horse with Great Escape who went from 6 furlongs to 7 furlongs, has some good workouts, beat Seal Beach, who's another entry in this race last time out with ease at Churchill. Like I said, I like the progression. Has not run it over a mile, so that's a question mark still, but I think the value is there. Like I said, I really like this horse quite a bit to provide you a little bit of value in the race. The one horse I'll also give you that is a little bit more of a long shot is American Sanctuary. This is a horse that actually came in second to Double Thunder, but had a really rough trip in a lot of ways, and still it was in the lead kind of coming down the stretch, just got caught, but was forced to run really wide and just has run into some trouble in previous races. But when this horse is able to have a clean race, can really run. And, again, has progressed up to a mile. And so we'll see how this horse plays out beyond that. The final horse that I'll talk about is just Rattle and Roll. This is one of the few horses, the only horse actually, that has won at a mile and a 16th, which is this distance. Has not overwhelmed people with speed, though. But that said, the horse does appear to like distance. And so we'll have to see. Wasn't against the biggest competition at Churchill last time. And also, that mile and a 16th came only 2 weeks ago. So there's always a but there. And that might be a pretty quick turnaround for a really young horse. So how do I see the Claiborne Breeders Futurity playing out? Well, I have Great Escape to win. I have Classic Causeway to place. Too good of a horse. And then Don't Wait Up to show. So let's move to the final graded stakes race in the card, the Keeneland Turf Mile Stakes. And that is a mile on turf for 3-year-olds and up. And so let's take a look at that field. And again, this is a 13-horse field, starting with post position 1, Front Run the Fed, and then Argentello, In Love, a Brazilian horse, Space Traveler, British horse, Tell Your Daddy, Ivar, a Brazilian horse, Pixelate. And then you have a series of Chilean, British, and Irish horses, Brownstorm, Monarch's Glen, and Order of Australia, who is the morning line favorite. Then you have Diamond Oops and Field Pass. And then finally in the 13 slot, Some Like It Hot, Brown. So how do I see this last one playing out? Here's the interesting thing. The morning line favorite, Order of Australia, 7-2. Has run exactly one career race in North America. That race happened to be at Keeneland. That race also happened to be the Breeders' Cup Turf Mile. Also happened to win that race. Now, here's the really interesting thing. That's the only race Order of Australia has ever won on turf at a mile. And Order of Australia has run 7 races on turf at a mile, and that is the only victory the horse has. And now, it's a heck of a time to pick a victory to win it at the Breeders' Cup. But it's interesting. This horse has, went back overseas and has had a good 4-year-old campaign, but has only had one victory in that 4-year-old campaign. Granted, a lot of seconds, a lot of thirds, and thirds to very good horses, to Palace Pier, who's a great horse. Palace Pier is one of the only horses in the country, in the world, I should say, that has won 2 win and near in races this year. So losing to Palace Pier and finishing third by 2 lengths is no disrespect. So, has run well, but has not necessarily shown that elite future that perhaps a lot of people thought 105 Beyer speed figure last year at that Breeders' Cup Mile. So we'll see. I don't know. I expect a little bit of a regression there. I don't expect for Order of Australia to come over and win at Keeneland. If he does though, then Order of Australia needs to come over to Keeneland every year, once a year, and just win. Because that's ridiculous. That the horse, if it's able to pull this off, could just come over to America twice, both times to Keeneland, both times against Grade One competition, and win. And so, I mean, that might say something about the quality of the American turf milers in this field. But like I said, very impressive horse. So let's talk about some of the other horses in the race. It's funny, for the kind of mixed bag that you get from Order of Australia on a mile, Pixelate at 9-2 is a horse that has never finished off the board at a mile and has 3 victories at the distance in 7 career starts. Also, this horse seems to be peaking at the right time, has won just last time out at Kentucky Downs. More importantly, has won over other runners in this race, some like it Hop Brown, who's at 9-2, and Monarch's Glen, who's a little bit more of a long shot, but still the fact that he was able to pretty easily beat some like it Hop Brown last time out, it really says something about Pixelate. So I do like that horse quite a bit, and I think really could give Order of Australia a run for his money. Now, then you have a series of horses that I'm intrigued by, but there's kind of some glaring warts with. Ivar is a horse that had a terrific 2020 campaign, but has only run once since last November. That was in May, finished 6th. Granted, it was only by 2 lengths, but still doesn't seem to have recaptured the form from last year. Again, that lone 2021 race was, 5 months ago now in May. So coming off another pretty long layoff. So we'll see how Ivar runs. But at 5-1, I just don't love the value. Tell Your Daddy at 8-1 is running best figures of his career. What's interesting is the last time out was on yielding turf. The turf might be it might be good, might not be firm on Saturday, but sometimes I'm always skeptical when a horse kind of posts a career best on yielding or, on slop or whatever. It might indicate the horse is more a product of the surface conditions rather than the quality or a constantly improving horse. At 8-1, it might be worth a shot, but I don't love Tell Your Daddy in that spot. And then finally, some like it Hop Brown. I want to talk a second about this horse because I sound like a broken record. I like all 3 horses that drew the 13 post position in all 3 of these races. I like some like it Hop Brown. I like Classic Causeway, and I like Viadera. I like all 3 of those horses. They all drew the 13th post position, and I absolutely hate that. I just don't see a path to victory for any of them. I think Classic Causeway is probably the one you could make the argument for the most, but I just don't like that outside post position, which is too bad. And this is another really strong field where you could make an argument for, I don't know, 3-4 different horses, and you could make an argument for a lot of different horses to potentially hit the board in this race. So, some like it Hop Brown, unfortunately, I think is going to be a victim of the post position, and that's too bad. Now, one long shot that I will give you is Diamond Oops, which is going off at 15-1. And this is a horse that has been running great at 6 furlongs and, at 5 furlongs, and has been kind of on and off turf. And that's something you don't really see a lot. This is a horse that has won on dirt, at the handicap, and even at the graded stakes level, and has won on turf. Most importantly, at the graded stakes level. I mean, you rarely see a horse that is able to win graded stakes competition at turf and dirt simultaneously while switching back and forth. It's not as if they had a turf career and then switched and had a dirt career. Diamond Oops just switch. It goes from turf to dirt all the time, and is able to maintain really strong consistency and is able to get up on the board in a lot of these graded stakes competitions. Now, this would be a big step up. Has finished 4th at a grade 1 competition before. That was a little bit of a longer distance on dirt, and has not gone up against grade 1 competition at the turf on turf surface, but has won turf sprints before at the grade 1 level. So it's a horse that I just really like a lot at 15-1. Also, if you look at the workout figures, huge numbers and really strong workouts at 6 furlongs on turf. They're clearly getting this horse ready for running a longer distance and ramping this horse up. Can this horse win? I don't think so. But this is a horse that is not a front runner. This is a horse that will sit back in the pack and put in a late kick. And so I actually like this horse to hit the board. And some of those 6 furlong workout numbers on turf are really strong. I mean, you're looking at like on a 111.4, a 111.1, 6 furlong workout on turf. These are really good workout figures. So I just really like this horse a lot. And, has finished second at a mile on turf before. So it's not as if it's allergic to this distance. So I like Diamond Oops coming in on the back end. So how do I see the Keeneland Turf Mile Stakes playing out? Well, I have Pixelate to win. I have Order of Australia to place, and I have Diamond Oops to show. Okay. Well, that was a lot, but I hope you enjoyed it. And just as a reminder, we have a preview for the Sunday races at Keeneland that are going to be coming out on Saturday afternoon. And then, of course, don't forget our Monday morning race recaps where I talk about what I got right, what I got wrong, and lessons learned from the weekend. Finally, remember to follow, download, rate, review, and share the Win Place Show podcast on the preferred platform of your choice. And subscribe to the Win Place Show on YouTube, in addition to following me on Twitter at the handle @Failed to Menace. And check out amalfimedia.com for my picks for the entire Keeneland card and for all the great horse racing content you need to get you through the Breeders' Cup and beyond. Until next time, friends, I'm Matthew DeSantis, wishing you a great and prosperous day at the races and reminding you that it's now post time.